American Pickers Mike Wolfe faces issues on home renovation. American Pickers star Mike Wolfe has been working hard on renovating his historic Tennessee home. He wants to return it to the design it had when it was built. As a result, he has spent a lot of money on the work so far. The only problem is that he keeps hitting roadblocks that get in his way of finishing it. Here is how much Mike has spent so far and what is happening to delay its completion. Mike Wolfe's expensive home renovations. Mike Wolfe is renovating his historical Tennessee home, but he is struggling to get to the finish line thanks to several problems. He spent $700,000 on the historic home in Columbia, Tennessee. It is part of an over $1 million renovation of the town, which also included Mike buying some local businesses. However, much of his work right now is on the home he bought, as he has invested an additional $200,000 in renovations on the home alone. He has also kept his American Pickers fans updated on his work so they can see the home slowly turning back into its glory days. Mike bought the 3,166 square foot home in May 2022. In April 2024, he filed a permit to remodel and repair the tower and the front porch. He also provided photos showing how the home looked when it was built, and his goal was to restore it to its original appearance. The $200,000 in renovations was listed on the permit. The brick home features 3 bathrooms, a basement, a wood deck, a detached carport, a cabana, a utility building, and other amenities. Mike Wolfe faces challenges in home renovations. The American Pickers star has faced challenges since he started his renovations. When Mike Wolfe started buying properties to renovate in this small Tennessee town, he met some resistance from people who didn't like to see change. However, he soldiered on and kept working to make Columbus a better place. Mike has also had problems with the renovation of his own home. He recently failed an inspection on the tower, which involved electrical problems. While this delayed the work, Mike fixed the problems and passed the next inspection of the house. Despite this, the final building and project completion remains unscheduled, according to reports. The tower in question is a turret, which is often seen in castles. While it seems strange for a house in Tennessee, the turret was part of the house's original design. Places like this, to me, belong to the community. People come and go. We're all just caretakers. In the end, the properties endure if we prioritize their significance to each town's story, Mike said via the U.S. Sun. Mike Wolfe, the iconic host of American Pickers, was no stranger to the concept of transformation. Over the years, he had traveled from town to town, rummaging through forgotten barns, cluttered garages, and dusty attics, all in search of hidden gems. Each object told a story. Every find was a piece of history. But the biggest transformation Wolfe had ever embarked on wasn't on the road. It was in his own backyard, his massive home renovation project. What had initially seemed like a dream had quickly turned into a challenge. Nestled in the Tennessee countryside, Wolfe's historic property was a jewel of early American architecture. With its stone foundation and wooden beams, the home carried the charm of the 1800s, and Wolfe had fallen in love with its rustic appeal at first sight. But as the renovations progressed, the beauty of the house became entangled with a series of unforeseen issues that threatened to turn his dream project into a nightmare. Wolfe had always envisioned this house as a sanctuary, a place where he could retreat after long days on the road, a haven where his collection of antique treasures could be displayed. In his mind's eye, the house had wide-open spaces filled with natural light, leather-bound books lining the shelves, and walls adorned with vintage signs and memorabilia from his years of picking. But as it often happens with old houses, the moment the crew started pulling apart the walls, the house revealed its age in ways no one had anticipated. The first problem arose with the plumbing. Mike had been warned that the pipes were old, but no one had expected the extent of the damage. As the workers tore up the floors to replace them, they discovered that many of the pipes were corroded beyond repair. Water damage had seeped into the foundation, and large sections of the wooden beams beneath the house had rotted away. "We're going to have to gut the entire system," the head contractor told him one morning, his face etched with concern. "It's going to set us back a few weeks, maybe months." Mike's heart sank. A delay like that meant more time without the peace he craved. But more than that, it meant more money. Renovating an old home was never cheap, but this was starting to feel like a financial black hole. Still, Mike Wolfe wasn't a man who gave up easily. He had weathered his fair share of challenges in the world of antiquing. He had traveled across America, through rain, snow, and blistering heat, to discover treasures buried under piles of junk. This house was just another treasure, one that needed a little more polishing than expected. But as the days turned into weeks, more issues cropped up. The electrical wiring, like the plumbing, was woefully outdated. Mike had hoped to keep as much of the original infrastructure as possible, but safety was a priority. Rewiring the entire house became necessary, and with each passing day, his idyllic vision seemed to slip further out of reach. Then came the walls, those beautiful, rustic wooden walls that Mike had been so excited to restore. The workers carefully removed layers of paint, hoping to expose the wood beneath. But as they stripped away the years, they found that many of the panels had been irreparably damaged by termites. Large sections would need to be replaced, and the cost of sourcing wood that matched the original materials was staggering. "It's like a game of whack-a-mole," Wolfe confided to his longtime friend and American Pickers co-star Danielle Colby during a rare break from the chaos. "Every time we fix one thing, 3 more problems pop up. I just didn't think it would be this hard." Danielle, who knew Mike better than almost anyone, offered him a sympathetic smile. "You'll get there, Mike. It's like one of your picks. Sometimes the best stuff takes time to find." Mike nodded, appreciating her words, but it was hard not to feel defeated. His dream of creating a peaceful, serene space was becoming more complicated by the day. Even his beloved collection of antiques was stuck in limbo, stored in various locations across the state until the house was ready. Every day that passed without progress felt like a blow to the gut. As the weeks dragged on, Mike found himself spending more and more time on site, overseeing the renovation personally. He had a deep respect for craftsmanship, but the process of rebuilding this house was different from finding a rare piece of Americana. This wasn't about uncovering hidden beauty. It was about fixing what was broken, and it was testing his patience in ways he hadn't anticipated. One day, as he stood in what would eventually be his study, Mike took a deep breath and tried to see the house for what it was, a work in progress. The skeletal remains of the walls were exposed, the floors were a mess of sawdust and tools, but beneath the chaos, there was potential. The bones of the house were good. The foundation, though damaged, could be repaired. The charm that had attracted him to the property in the first place still lingered in the air, if only faintly. As much as the renovation had frustrated him, it was also a reminder of why he loved old things. Like the antiques he picked, this house had a story, one that was still being written. And as much as he wanted the project to be done, to see the finished product, there was something special about the process. The act of bringing something old and forgotten back to life. In the end, Mike Wolfe knew that the renovation would take time, patience, and a lot more money than he had originally planned. But he also knew that when it was finished, it would be worth it. This house, like the treasures he hunted across America, was a part of his journey. It was another chapter in the story of his life, and as with every good story, the struggle was part of the reward. With that thought in mind, Mike grabbed a hammer, rolled up his sleeves, and got to work. After all, if anyone knew how to appreciate the beauty in the broken, it was him.